How does that
No,
look?
I'm not saying that. You get some sense that there's a handful of stocks.
Look at that. I mean, you could tie that to the market. Bang.
So we're going into the home stretch here of the year, but obviously as we get into the holiday season, and I guess the question I ask you in a holiday week, are you the last minute shopper, or are you the guy that actually has your stuff done, bro, and you're kicking back and you're feeling good about yourself?
I'm last minute for sure. I mean, I enjoy that mad rush at the end, those final few days leading up to
It is
December
fun.
24th.
It is fun. Yeah, yeah. In fact, I think I've put in Christmas Eve time at Saks on Fifth Avenue, and it's a ritual. There's a couple friends that bail me out every year. There's a lady at one of the cosmetics counters. I won't advertise for any particular one or let you know whether I have good taste or bad taste, but Marsha's there for me every year Christmas Eve.
It's interesting you mentioned Marsha. I mean, you haven't heard that name since the 1970s, obviously Brady Bunch.
Marsha.
I mean, that was it. I mean, I don't think I've ever met a real life Marsha.
Well, and by the way, Marsha was a sleeper. I mean, I know we've done this before, but I mean, Lori Partridge, Marsha Brady, not so much Joni on Happy Days, but she had her spot. I do think it was the great era of personalities, and there's a guy over my shoulder who at least from that era that we have to acknowledge because he had a birthday if he was still with us, one of the great comedians of all time. The question is, did Rodney get too much respect by saying he got no respect? I think he was one of the greats, but it was almost like he was a self-proclaimed great. How do you line it up with Rodney?
I think that's a great point. That's a wonderful point by you. So he would have been 100 this week, which is remarkable if you think
Yeah.
about it. Was he overrated? Like, I found him amusing at times. I found his movies just to be unwatchable, but that's me. Maybe I'm too, I consider myself too much of an intelligentsia to
Well,
appreciate his movies. You like that
when
word,
he
by the
was,
way?
I don't even know that you know how to spell it or how many syllables, but if you think about Rodney when he was a role player in a movie, I think that was where he truly was genius, and obviously Caddyshack. So that movie did not rest on Rodney. But when you went back to school with Rodney, you were all Rodney all the time, and I think that was a little bit much. And so the question is he a guy, by the way, that got no respect, and is he a guy that deserved more respect? Was he over respected? And so, however you want to play this into the shopping world and the retail world, because we've seen companies in the last 12 months that again, coming out of COVID, rebuilt themselves, restructured bad leases, and took fallen franchises in retail and raised them to new heights. Macy's seems to be at the top of the list. Do they get enough respect? Do they get too much respect now after a big run in the stock?
It's interesting. Obviously, that's a company that got no respect for the last 3.5 years. Until the last 6 months, you just mentioned it, the stock has been parabolic. So now it's getting maybe the respect it deserves, but maybe getting too much respect vis-a-vis what their real business is. The one company that's gotten respect all along in that world has been Home Depot. And my sense is you would have found Rodney in your local Home Depot, and we probably would have hung out. But Home Depot just continues to get it done. And believe it or not, you see people shopping for the holidays at Home Depot. That's what that's become.
Dude, you drop me something in a drill bit set or something like that. Wrap that up. It's weighty. It looks good under the tree. It's not too big. Runs you about $18. I mean, it's the perfect gift for the brother-in-law if you've got one. I'd say that the department stores have made a comeback, and that's great. And I think the business model, which looked like it was dead and gone, is something that people want to be back in the stores in a post-COVID environment. Is that going to last forever? I don't know. But if you think about the buzz around the department stores in the markets has been a case where Saks and their e-commerce business being something that's being splintered off and at least the valuations around it. So suddenly Macy's, who had no e-commerce business to speak of in a pre-COVID world, and now somewhere around 45% of sales are going to come from digital in the next year and beyond will probably grow. They have an e-commerce business. That's been part of the story. It's really extraordinary because, again, the Thanksgiving parade at Macy's, which is one of the great events, happy to be attending. We'll walk down to the end of my block here. I think Macy's still has good days ahead of it.
I like what you did there. Are you one of those guys, mostly men, by the way, at Home Depot that walk
Mostly
around and
men.
look at things that you have no idea what they do, but you pretend like you put it in your hand and you pretend like you know exact? There are
No, because
tools in Home Depot that
first
I
of all,
couldn't tell. You could give
I
me a
think
week and I wouldn't be able to tell you what they do.
I think you just called me a tool, and not only that, I think there's a case where I could probably walk around Home Depot and know what 80% of the stuff is. I don't think you could. I thought you were going to ask me, am I the kind of guy who walks around Home Depot looking for gifts for other people that walks out with 10 things for me? It's the power of Home Depot. It's the power of what they've become, which is that home improvement is fun. Home improvement is sexy. Home improvement is profitable.
Many years ago, when we first bought our house, I went to the local Home Depot and I bought a tool belt. And recently I threw it out, having never used it in my
Hold on.
life.
Time out. So you walked around your house in a tool belt, and you know where I'm going with this. I mean, you might as well
You're
put.
going Michael Keaton. You're going deep Michael Keaton there and Mr. Mom. No, I literally bought it, never used it, and then subsequently, some 20 years later, threw it out recently, by the way.
It's an exciting day. I got to tell you. I think stores should be open on Black Friday. I think people should get fired up for the holiday season. I know I'm fired up, and I know you are too.
I enjoy this. That's Tim Seymour. I'm Guy Adami. We are
Commercial break.